Hello, welcome to episode 61 of the Mouses Makes Knitting podcast. My name is Mandy, sometimes known as Mouse. This is Miss Poppy, my co-host, who is flaked out because it's far too hot. I'm hoping this is going to go okay because there is still much banging and now there's a lot of loud talking in an echoey empty room from next door. So I might end up having to stop this and have another go later, and so it might have been uploaded much later than usual. I'm hoping I can soldier through it though. Okay, going to start with the knit along, make along. I always say knit along, it is not a knit along, it is a make along. You can enter any craft at all so long as it's been designed by a Ukrainian designer. I'm working on the Sienna sweater. It's so long since I've touched it, I've forgotten what it's called. The Sienna sweater by Natalie Pellick, who is Knitting for Sweet on Instagram. We are in the middle of a heat wave at the moment in the UK. I am knitting that sweater in single strand mohair. This is not the weather for knitting mohair. It's clammy and hot, and I just can't even think about touching the mohair. I am knitting other things with a bit of a break to, you know, wave your hands around and cool them off, but that I cannot touch at the moment. The make along runs until the 31st of August. You do not have to finish what you're making. All you have to do to enter is to share it on Instagram, tag the designer and use the hashtag knitting with Ukraine. I'm sorry, I'm very distracted. It's because I keep hearing a noise and thinking, is that loud enough for the microphone to pick it up? But I think we're okay so far. Okay, so the only thing that you may enter that is not by a Ukrainian designer is this. This is the Unstoppable top by Lil Anne. The link will be below. It is a design that's been produced specifically for the entire proceeds to go to women and children from Ukraine. So this is the only thing that is not by a Ukrainian designer that you can enter. Even if you don't want to knit it, I'd encourage you to buy it. Even if you don't knit anything in this type of style, I would encourage you to buy the pattern nonetheless, or gift it to a friend who knits that you know would like it, because all the proceeds are going to women and children of Ukraine. The link for that will be below, as will the link for Fibre Chats, where the two ladies who design it are discussing the pattern and why and everything. And I have my customary cough. Last week I showed you the prizes I'd collected so far. Another couple of prizes arrived since then, and here they are. They are made by, you can see her label there, Anne, the lovely Anne from the No Excuses podcast, Spa Knits. These are two of her highly prized wonky bags, which are misnamed, I'm afraid to tell you, because they don't look terribly wonky at all. I see no wonkiness. Trade Descriptions Act and all that, Anne, come on. Yes, she did say I could keep one, but I felt guilty, so I'm gonna enter them both as prizes. If you haven't seen last week's episode, pop back and have a look at that. I've shown all the other prizes that we have so far. There are, as far as I know, still 2 coming. I'll show them to you when they get here. I think that's all I'm supposed to say about that. other than many thanks to everyone who's donated a prize. I have the best friends in the world. That's all I'm going to say. You've been so generous and I'm just blown away. I thought I'd be like scrabbling around making bags myself, and you've all just really come through. So thank you so much. Okay, I have a finished object for you today. It is my second test knit of the Fée Marraine shawl by Penny Baker Knits. This time I'm going to put it on and I'm going to regret it because I'm melting already. I've shut the window to cut down the noise, so if I suddenly turn a bit peculiar and disappear, I just like slide off the chair and onto the floor. Don't panic. Just a small faint, don't worry about it. So the first one I knit in sock yarn, which is what the pattern calls for. This one I have knit in cotton 4-ply. This is Sirdar cotton 4-ply in the shade 515, which has got a name. It's either Bluebell or Blue Sky or something like that. It's blue, as you can clearly see. It is a very beautiful blue. The difference between the two was that for the wool version I used less than 100 grams. For this version I used 115 grams. So, I mean, cotton is obviously heavier than wool, so there's probably less meterage. Well, there is less meterage per 100-gram ball. 400 meters for the sock yarn that I used and 335 meters for this. So that accounts for the extra little bit that I needed. But it's worked just as well as the sock yarn. It's a beautiful colour. It blocks really nicely. Because of the hot weather, I blocked it. It's the first time I've ever done it. I blocked it on the washing machine. That's because I'm looking in next door's garden and I can see a washing machine. I blocked it on the washing line, and for the points I just hung pegs and then pegged a peg to the peg to make them a bit heavier. But yeah, so it is just as big, or long I should say. And I love it just as much. And at the moment I don't need it, but this is going to be a shawl for just sticking over my shoulders on days that are not like living on the surface of the sun. I'm sorry, being hot makes me grumpy. I will link Penny's Instagram and her Ravelry down below. This pattern is not yet released. It will be released next month and it will be available for pre-order, and I've just realised I haven't sewn in the ends. It will be available for pre-order on the 28th of July. I highly recommend it. It's a really uncomplicated knit. It's perfect for just sitting and watching the television or keeping in the car. All you need really to keep track of where you are is a row counter. Oh God. And I'm going to try not to apologise so much this week because I got told off for that. But I am going to go and get a glass of water. Right, I'm back. Suitably hydrated. Probably not without the cough though, because Poppy's just sleeping through it all. What you can see there is her bat. Oh, hello. Did I touch you? I'm sorry. Your adoring public wants to see you. Do you think you could sit up and say hello? That was very rude. She yawned. She's not interested. not going to say the word, but you know. I don't want another telling off from a scary lady. Right, I've made a fair bit of progress on other things. First of all, this is the Breezeway Tea by Fogbound Knits. I'm knitting with my Firefly minis from The Lonely Knitter. I understand this may not be to everyone's taste, but I'm not asking anyone else to wear it. I personally love it. As you can see, I have split for the sleeves, and the splitting for the sleeves worked out perfectly. I had one row of that colour left after splitting for the sleeves, and that will disappear when I pick up to do the hems. Can't think of the right name for the things that you put round sleeves when you finish making them, but you know what I mean. Yes, so that'll be hidden, so it's just worked out perfectly by pure accident, not by any kind of design on my part. The colourways I've used so far are Wash's Wardrobe, Serenity, Zoe Washburn. I thought I knew all this. Definitely Malcolm Reynolds. And this one, I think, I've got them in the wrong order. Now I'm going to have to look. Hang on a minute. Yes. Wash's Wardrobe, Serenity, Jane Ain't a Girl, Malcolm Reynolds, Zoe Washburn. Malcolm Reynolds is my favourite, and so I did deliberately work it out that he would be across my heart. Aren't I a soppy fangirl? So I'm really, really pleased with this. I am on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th colour of 10. What I'm working out now is, should I use up the whole of the mini, or should I keep it to the same width as these ones up here? And I'm working out how long it will be depending on which thing I do, because I don't want it to finish at a funny length. My plan, if it can't be helped that it finishes at a funny length, is this dark grey, which is so dark. I thought I'd got myself all organised and I haven't at all. Patterns Diploma Gold 4-ply in 04298. I've got plenty of this, and my plan was to do the neckband, the whatever these things are called, and the hem on the body. And also, as you can see, I've just done 2 rows to separate each colour. My plan was, if I ran out of minis and it was still too short, to finish it in this. And also, this top has short rows at the back to drop the back lower than the front when you get to the bottom. So I was going to use that for the short rows so as not to interrupt the width of the stripes any more than I have to. So I just need to work out how long it will be with either option for the stripes. Because if I can, I'd like the stripes to go right down to the hem at the front. It won't at the back because of the short rows, but I'd like it to at the front if I can work that out. So I'm doing well with that. That's really good fun to knit because you're changing all the colours all the time. Then I've also got on really well with this. This is the Castellet by Phil Kalana. Last time you saw it, I was there. So I did some more and I split for the sleeves. Now, I've messed about a bit with this pattern because it wasn't coming out with the drape that I wanted or really large enough that I wanted it. Because I'm not using the yarn that the pattern specifies, obviously. When do I ever? So rather than using, I think it was a 3 and a 4mm needle, I've gone up to a 4 for the ribbing and a 5 for the body, which was great. It's given me the size I want and the drape that I'd like it to have. But what I didn't take into account was that that was then going to make it longer, the yoke much longer. So it's a bit hard to see. Let me take it off the hanger. It's a free pattern, so I think I can say a bit more about it than I might ordinarily. It's going to come to about there, and then it's got rib on. I should have done another 2 repeats of this pattern. So you can see if I'd have done that, it would have come to about there and been, I mean, the armhole is quite away from my armpit as it is. It would have been down beneath my elbow and just looked ridiculous. And I wouldn't ever have worn it because it would have been uncomfortable. So I stopped 2 repeats of the pattern short. But then, of course, I didn't have the right number of stitches to split for the sleeves, the front and the back. It's Ewan just going past and wondering what I'm doing. He never knows whether I'm on Zoom or whether I'm recording. If I'm on Zoom, he'll come in and speak to me, but if I'm recording, he won't. So I was doing this quite late at night and I was on Zoom at the time. And without thinking, I tried to divide it as if I had finished all the pattern repeats and therefore had the right number of stitches. Well, of course that didn't work, did it? So I had to pick it all back. Then I counted how many stitches I'd got. What a good plan, should have tried that before. And it didn't correspond to any of the other sizes. So that meant I had to do some maths. And I'm not great at maths at the best of times, but past my bedtime is definitely not the time I should have been doing maths. And then I asked Dave, could he help me work it out? And I asked him 3 times. I do not understand what he was doing. He was doing it in fifths, and I can't understand why it was in fifths. I still can't understand. It comes to be over and over again, even ever since then, and I can't work it out. I've got a fairly logical brain. I just can't work out why fifths. Anyway, after about half an hour of us both doing calculations and him trying to explain to me over and over the product of his calculations and why they'd worked, and me failing to understand and getting more and more grumpy, all of this while I was still on Zoom. I was muted and everyone could see me getting more and more grumpy. I decided to look at the total number of stitches that I should have had if I'd done all the repeats. Take away from that the number of stitches that I had got and then divide that by 4. 4, you see, not 5. And that worked out to about 30 stitches. So I just knocked 30 stitches off each of the sections, front, back and both sleeves. and it seems to have worked out okay. It's going to fit across me and it's going to fit around my arms. So we're sorted. I do want to knit this again, and I'm hoping as I speak to you that I've written down all these things. If I haven't, I'm going to have to write them down straight away, because when I knit it again, the same thing's going to happen, and I can't have all the trauma of doing those sums again. I just can't. So this I'm knitting in Trekking XL sock yarn in the colour 622, which is multicolours, greys, purples, all sorts of colours. And this, which doesn't look that colour at all, that's more the colour it is. It's still a little bit yellow toned. And that is Cello Wools, which again is a bit of a misnomer because it's 100% acrylic, in Merlot. I don't even know if you can still get this stuff. I bought it on an eBay D-stash, which is where a lot of my own stash has come from. So yeah, I haven't even looked to see if it's available anywhere. I'm on to my second ball of sock yarn, so I'm pretty confident that I've got enough to finish it to the length that I want. And I've got about another 4 balls of this, so I'm not concerned about that at all. At the moment, lengthwise, sorry, let me just wrestle them back in the bag. This is very difficult when you've got balls of yarn attached to it. At the moment, this is coming to, well, just below my bust, sort of rib length. I had originally thought I would do it as a crop, which would mean another inch or 2. I think I'm going to go longer because it's quite thick and it's quite warm, and I don't think that's terribly practical for a crop top, because my back will be cold the whole time. So I think I'm going to go ordinary jumper length with this one. While I'm talking to you, I'm going to move this progress marker. I don't think I put one on the Breezeway. Oh yes, I did. Move that before I forget. On here I've got a tiny piece, hang on, I don't know if you can see it, tiny piece of shortbread biscuit from Chapel View Crafts. Chapel View Crafts? Someone will tell me in the comments again, because I can never remember the name of this company, and one of you always knows and tells me in the comments. I had a stitch marker advent from her last year. Brilliant, all little pieces of cake and biscuits, and I loved it. Ooh. Sorry, puppy. I'm just going to, while I remember, move the stitch marker. I did put a stitch marker in there. And it's a leaf. A rainbow coloured leaf. So that's where I was when I showed you last time. If you're a firefly fan, the significance of the leaf will not be lost on you. I'm going to put it on the front this time, because one of the characters' catchphrase is, I'm just like a leaf on the wind. So I had to use a leaf stitch marker, didn't I? Progress keeper. The stitch marker that I've got on it, marking my beginning of round. Oh gosh. I'm just going to leave that alone because I'm making a mess. yeah, the stitch marker that's marking beginning of round there, that came with the minis. What is going on? So the final thing that I've been working on, and the thing that I've worked on the most, that I know some people are quite anxious to see. Ta-da! This, let me get this right. This is Sabrina's Sweater by Bad Wolf Girl. And this version is called Sabrina's Nightmare. It's a DK version. And you can have it with short sleeves or long, cropped or full length. I'm going full length with this one for a similar reason to the Castellette. It didn't occur to me until I was knitting on it Sunday that with all the floats inside, it's really quite thick, especially as it's a DK. So same rationale, a cropped sweater this thick I'm not going to wear because I'll want something that will cover my lower back and keep me warmer. So I'm going full length with this one. The next version will be a crop. And I'm fighting myself not to cast it on before I finish this one. I think I told you last time that I'm planning a purple, a green and a grey version. Leslie from the Not Quite Enough Yarn podcast expressed some concern about the grey one. Fear ye not, it will still have impact. You can't see what I can see, which are the colours that I'm planning to use in it. So this is all being knit in Stylecraft Special DK. The orange is Spice, the black is just plain old black, as is the white, and the grey, which may not come out terribly clearly from a distance, grey there is silver. So I am on the home straight with this really. I think I worked out I've got another 5 inches of body to knit and then a couple of inches of ribs, and then I'll go back and do the sleeves. How long the sleeves end up will depend on how much yarn I've got left, and also the fact that I will wear a short sleeved sweater with a long sleeve t-shirt underneath when it's cold, so there's more pattern to be added to the sleeves. I might, it depends how I'm going with yarn. The Spice, the orange, I've not long started the second ball. The black, I started the second ball quite a long way up, so I've actually used more of the black than I have of the orange, even though if you look at it, orange appears to be the predominant colour, so that's quite interesting. When I knit the next one, which is going to be green and going to be cropped, I'm going to use the other chart. There are 2 charts and this is the longer one, so it puts the skulls further down on your body. The other one puts the skulls on the yoke. I think they work out to be about here, so I thought that would just move everything up so it'd be more suitable for a crop. So yeah, I can't wait. When I've got this finished, I need the weather to cool down so I can wear it. Otherwise I'm going to be sat out there in the garden with my feet in a bucket of ice cubes wearing this jumper and getting heat stroke. I am so pleased that I took the plunge and decided to knit it, and I'm cursing myself that I didn't do it sooner. And the reason I didn't do it sooner is because I was talking to the girls on Zoom about this. I said, do you remember? Oh, can I get it in there? No, that's going to fall on my head. Oh, yeah. I was talking to the girls on Zoom and I said, do you remember when I was making those elephant mitts for my daughter-in-law for Christmas? And all I did was moan all through November and December how much I hated doing colour work. Now it's the only thing I want to do. And I've put off doing this jumper. I've wanted it for ages. But I was like, oh, I can't do the colour work. I hate doing colour work. And my imagined dislike of colour work overrode how much I wanted the sweater until it didn't anymore. And now I just want to knit this and only this forever and ever in every colour under the sun. I'm a fickle creature, really. So that's where we are. Almost finished it. I'm really hoping I'll have this finished for you next week. And if I have, I will probably have started another one. If I can last that long. The problem is I've got all the yarn in stash for everything that I need to do all these versions. It's all in stash. So there's nothing holding me back other than my own willpower. Right, I think that's everything I had to show you today. Sorry, I've gone on pause. I'm sure there was something else I needed to say and I haven't written it down. Well, whatever it is, I will undoubtedly remember after. I did that last week with something and I can't remember what that was, and I've got a feeling whatever that was what I was going to tell you this week, but I didn't write it down again. Don't know. Anyway, I know what I did forget to say though. It's not the thing, but it is something else. If you are entering into the Knitting with Ukraine make-along and you can't find your designer's Instagram name, you can either message me on Instagram or email me and I'll help you. If you don't have Instagram but you still want to enter, if you email me your picture of your work, whatever it is, and the designer's name, I will pop it on to Instagram. I'll put your name on it with your permission. If you'd rather I didn't, that's fine. I'm planning at the end of the make along to do a post tagging all the designers that have been used. So, because the whole point of the make along is for them to get a little bit of moral support, see that, you know, people are supporting them, and just give them a little bit of a boost. I think, see, as I was telling you that, something else popped into my head and now that's gone as well. I don't do well with the heat. I'm not going to say I hate it because I actually quite like it, but I don't do very well with it. And my bedroom is in the loft, so the sun's on it from the time it comes up to the time it sets, and it's been so hot up there. It's been 26 degrees in my bedroom when I go to bed, which for those of you who have Fahrenheit is about 80 degrees. So I've been trying to sleep in 80-degree heat, and then the hot flushes arrive as well. So it really is. I made a joke about the surface of the sun earlier. It really is like the surface of the sun in my bedroom. Whatever it was that traipsed across the back of my mind has now fallen out my ear and gone. So if it comes back, I will write it down to tell you next week. It can't have been very important. No, but as I say, it's been so hot in my bedroom that I'm really tired and my brain is not functioning properly. So I think that's everything. Pretty sure that's everything. I'm sorry. I know. I suddenly become aware that I've gone on pause because something outside has distracted me and I've just left the room. Which is what I'm going to do properly now and say that I will see you next week if you're not thoroughly fed up with my mental absences. And until then, happy knitting and have the weather that you like the most. Bye guys.